I sometimes wonder who was the person that decides what readings we have at Mass on Sunday. Because every time we get together at church, whether it's a weekday or whether it's a Sunday or a feast, there's readings determined for us. I don't pick the readings. And somebody made the decision. And I really wish they had added 3 more verses to the first reading. Because I think if we were to open our Bible and go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, this great prayer that we heard in the first reading, the Shema. Shema is Hebrew for the word, the command, hear. Shema Israel. Hear, Israel. The Lord your God is Lord alone. Well, that passage has 3 more verses to it than what we heard in the first reading. So I couldn't help myself. I got to read the whole passage to you. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your strength. Place these words deep within your heart. Recite them often to your children. Talk about them all the time when you are at home and when you are away from home. When you lie down in the morning and when you lie down at night and when you arise in the morning. Bind these words as a sign on your hand. Fix them as an emblem upon your forehead, and write them on the doorposts of your home and on your home's gates. That is what I would have loved to hear as the conclusion of our first reading, because the command to love God is wonderful and good, but what Moses writes in filling out the rest of the command is the concrete instructions on how to carry this out, how to do this. Have you ever heard the statistic that we are exposed to about 2,000 advertisements every day? Have you ever heard that before? Imagine the effect that that has on children. Because the same message is at the root of every advertisement in our culture. And the message is this, that if we just accumulate something or buy something, we can find happiness. Whether it's a beverage, a car, a trip, or anything that somebody's trying to sell us, the message is the same. If you just get this, you will find happiness. And anybody who's ever given that a try knows it's not true. It always rings hollow. There's even a word for it in the marketing industry, and that is buyer's remorse. So how influential is that to children that as they're growing up 2,000 times a day, they're bombarded with messages that happiness can be found. The deepest fulfillment that they and us long for can be achieved through accumulation or consumption. So the idea that we should speak often to our children of the love of God is not just some pushy religious legalism. It's a deep insight that the only way that our hearts find what we're truly longing for, the only way that we come to know the fulfillment, the happiness that we really want, the only way that they could ever be fulfilled is the love of God. So how imperative is it that we speak of this often? How important is it that we teach our children, I say our, I shouldn't say our, I don't have any children. But how important is it that you teach your children, or the children you'll have someday, to love God, not as some sort of a superficial, self-righteous Jesus freak or holy roller. Those people inspire no one to love God, but rather as someone who puts into practice what they preach, someone who is both a model and a spokesperson for the love of God. And notice where we go immediately from there. The command not only to say these words to our children, but to live them. Speak of them. Maybe even you're just speaking of them to yourself when you're at home and when you're not away, and when you're not at home. And when we're not at home, where do we find ourselves most of the day? Well, we're at work. We're doing something, we're building something, we're creating, we're guiding, all of the things that human labor does. And how easy is it for the activities of human labor to steal the energy, the passion, the creativity of our heart? How easy is it for us in the endeavor of good human labor to be distracted from God and to allow the love, the passion, the attention of something other than God to seduce us in thinking that if we just accomplish more status, a higher salary, greater accomplishments, notoriety, whatever, power, you name it, how easy is it in the pursuit of good, noble labor can we again be seduced to let our heart stray away from God? Speak of these words when you lay down at night and when you get up in the morning. Do you ever see these influencers on social media talking about mental health? Now, a lot of the stuff is just silly, like getting into a bathtub filled with ice cubes. I for the life of me, I don't understand this. Like, first at 4:30 in the morning, I'm going to get in the bathtub filled with ice. It's popular nowadays. If you haven't seen this, don't bother. But there is a kernel of truth in the message that they offer. And that is the way that we start our day has a tremendous impact on the rest of what we do. The way that we end our day has a tremendous influence on the rest we come to know. And so if our day begins with this commandment, hear, Peter, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Don't go chasing after other gods, because there are no other gods. There's only one. There's only one God who can fill your heart. Before I crawl out of bed, before those covers are revealed and the cool air of the morning rushes upon me, hear, Peter, the Lord your God, the Lord is the only one who will fill you with happiness. Spend your day serving the Lord in others and in your own life. Put God as the center of what you're doing. What that does to our day. And I'm preaching to myself here because this is something I struggle with. Normally, I need coffee before any thoughts make any sense. But when we go to bed at night, what is it like with the anxieties, with the burdens, with the brokenness, with the wounds, with the worries of our day weighing us down? What would that be like if for just a moment, here, the Lord is truly God. The Lord is God over these worries, over these concerns, over this brokenness, over this anxiety. God is bigger than me. God is certainly bigger than my problems. And all of the energy that I'm tempted to put into that's going to rob me of rest, I'm going to put into the love of God. And God is going to welcome me into rest tonight. What would that be like? Do you know that all devout Jews would pray the Shema, this prayer that I'm preaching about, at least twice a day? Jesus, every morning he got up. The first words out of his mouth was this prayer. Mary, Jesus' mother, first words out of her mouth. Joseph, before he went to the workshop, first words out of his mouth. St. Paul, all the apostles, devout Jews prayed this prayer every morning as the first thing that they did when they got up. Historically, we know that's true. And these were the last words that they spoke before they went to sleep. What would that it be like if we imitated Jesus literally in this regard? What if we committed, as the commandment says, what if we committed these words to memory? Hear, O Israel, hear, O Elon, the Lord your God, there is only one, the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all yourself, with all your creativity, with all your passion, with all your strength, and with all your brokenness. Think about this all the time. Put this as a sign on the wall of your room. If you're going to get a tattoo with these words on your arm. Hold them upon your mind like jewelry that sparkles for the rest of your life. Make these words your own, but place the love of God as the center of your life. And this is what I promise you. The rest, the peace, the fulfillment that you are so hungry for, because we all are, you'll find it in the love of God.